Mindful Life Practice community.
This is a very normal thing in the Middle East that would never happen in Canada. In Canada, you would never let children just like play soccer. Football is what we call it. Kids who live in my building just play football up and down the hallway. And in Canada, that would never, ever happen. But here it is so hot that it's just normal to have kids playing in places that we would never in a country we'd say go outside in Canada. All right, let's come on to our mat and rest our forehead. So this morning or this afternoon is one of those days where I could not get the technology sorted out. For some reason, my AirPods could not connect. And when you're trying to figure out technology and you have 10 little faces on Zoom screens staring at you, it can be a little bit overwhelming. Part of our yoga practice is learning to let go. Over and over again, we let go of our insecurities, we let go of our doubts, we let go of our pain. Actually, I was studying these this week with my yoga teacher training students. Patanjali calls these kleshas, and these are the obstacles to our spiritual growth. And over again, we have to let go. And trust that things will work out exactly as they're meant to, and there's a lesson or intention along the way. Take another deep breath in your child's pose and then a deep breath out. Good, and then walk your hands over to the right. I just see Yasser's comment. He says, yeah, we used to do that. Yasser used to play soccer or football in the hallway in his apartment building. Honestly, it's so funny. We're gonna come back through center and then go over to the left. Like I will never forget coming to Kuwait and there are things that you're just like, why are these people doing this, right? Because you are taught all your life that that's not one of the cultural norms. Like the children in my school would do PE classes in the hallway. They would be running in the hallway. And this Canadian teacher over here, I'm like, what is wrong with this school? Why are kids running through the hallways, right? We never run in the hallways in Canada. Come back through center and then lift up to a table and move through some cat-cows. And it really just challenges your ideas of right and wrong. Because, you know, after living here for 6 years, it makes perfect sense, right? We didn't have a gym and it's 50 degrees outside, so we're not gonna make kids run on the field. We're gonna need an ambulance for heat exhaustion, right? And so these kinds of things make perfect sense that once seemed so bizarre to us. Let's come all the way through center and then extend our right leg and then just stretch back and forth. Actually, it's funny how then these things just become so normal to you that you don't even realize they were once ever different. We're going to come back into neutral, lengthen the right leg, lengthen the left arm, take a big breath in. Good, and then tap elbow to meet the knee, and we'll do this a few times. Like I remember when I first moved to Kuwait being taught that we're not supposed to touch hands or any body part with the opposite gender, so we don't even shake hands. And I remember when my mom came to visit Kuwait, and like a polite adult in Canada, she reached out to shake the hand of this Kuwaiti father that I tutored at their house. And I remember being so embarrassed when my mom did that. I was like, doesn't she know? And then it's like, of course she doesn't know, because it's so different than Canada, right? But once you've lived somewhere for 6 months, what was once so abnormal just becomes normal. Let's extend the arm, extend leg. Anyway, that's all a big rant. I cannot hear the kids playing football anymore in the hall. It sounds like they've gone inside. This is good. We'll stretch the leg up. We're gonna reach the left arm back. Reach the left palm to meet the right ankle. Nice work. This is kind of a deep back bend. If this is a lot for your spine, go ahead. And now, of course, it's, what is it, 5 years later, and if anyone shook hands, we probably would never do it anymore because of COVID. So it's funny how our norms change over times too, don't they? So release our arm, release our leg, and then land your left palm. Take your left toes off the mat, and then reach the right arm up, good. And then let's land onto the right foot, and then lift the right arm, and then open through your side body. And now my mom has visited the Middle East so many times that now that's all normal to her, and she probably even forgot that it was once not normal. Take one more breath. And then come all the way around. Let's plant the palms. Good, and then we'll go the opposite way. So we're gonna extend our left leg and extend our right arm. Good, and then tap elbows to meet knees. Actually, speaking of my mom visiting the Middle East, she now hasn't come in 2 years, which is really strange. She normally comes every year, but I think I'm going back to Canada soon. I was just texting the family chat. I don't know if my mom saw it. Looking at planning flights. She says yes. Looking at planning flights for September. It's pretty cool to not be on a teacher schedule anymore and just be able to fly when it feel like it. We're gonna extend the arm and extend the leg. And then perhaps you kick the foot up and then open through the heart. Nice work. Taking a few more breaths, good. And then release your foot, release your hand. Now, can you spread through your palms? Come, ooh, I lied, I missed something. Release your palm, release your leg. Land your right palm. Take your right toes off the mat, lift your left arm all the way up, good work. And then land your left foot, reverse your warrior. And then come all the way around. Nice work. Let's spread through our palms and spread through our fingers. And we're gonna tuck our toes, lift all the way up to our down dog. So our yoga practice today, our first part of the practice links our movement with our breath and our breath with our movement. This is vinyasa flow. Everything is placed with intention. Every movement, every breath. And then our second part of the practice is a yin yoga practice. So we hold deep stretches for a long period of time. So let's take a breath in, come all the way forward into plank. Good, and then shift back to our down dog. And then can you do 3 more? Breath in, come forward. Good, breath out, shift back. 2 more, inhale, heart forward. Good, exhale. And then 1 more breath in. Good, and then 1 more breath out. And then can you come all the way forward? Good, land your knees onto the mat. Slowly lower, elbows drawing all the way back. And then come onto the navel. Fingertips are going to go underneath your elbows. And then we're gonna lift the heart and lower. Good. So the niyamas and the yamas, they are the first and the second limbs of the 8 limbs of yoga in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which were written thousands of years ago. And if you're looking for an English interpretation that explains these sutras in detail, I highly recommend Rolf Gates' Meditations from the Mat. And so our first week of this class is themed around the practice of ahimsa, which is love or nonviolence. And our second practice last week was themed around satya, which is truth. Take one more breath. Good, and then exhale, lower down, place the palms underneath the shoulders. Can you shift up through your table and then all the way back to your down dog and step your feet in? So in what ways do we take from people and maybe without even intention or knowing it, maybe not even in large ways? This is Asteya. Asteya is non-stealing. We're gonna take our right leg up towards the sky, big stretch. And then draw our right knee all the way in. Step your right foot forward. You can use your hand to bring the foot all the way forward and then land onto your left knee. Good, and we're gonna lift the arms up. Excellent, and then flow with our breath. Inhale, arms up. And then exhale, reach them forward. So the practice of Asteya can be, taking people's time. It can be taking things that don't belong to us, like, screenshotting pictures or quotes or sharing them without credit. That's Asteya, that's stealing. And I think when many of us just hear the phrase non-stealing, we might think, okay, well, I've never robbed a bank, so therefore I'm good on that yama. I don't need to think about it any longer. We're gonna lift our arms up and then reach our arms forward. Leave our left arm where it is, spiral our right arm back, and then just land your right palm on your left thigh, gazing backwards. This is a revolved, reversed lunge thing. Come all the way back, take your left palm to the inside of the right foot. Nice work. And then maybe you kick the foot back, taking a quad stretch, knowing that it's just an option in a menu of choices and you're ultimately the driver. You decide what works for you, knowing that there's no hierarchy of poses. Humans made that up. Can you release your foot now? Take your right palm forward and then let's walk our fingertips back. Lengthen over the right leg. Good, take one more breath. Nice work, and then take your palms forward, spread through the fingers, tuck through your left toe, lift your left knee. Excellent, and then just step your right foot back to meet your left. Find your plank, hold strong here, navel drawing in. 5, 4, 3, 2, excellent, and then 1. Can come straight back up to down dog or take a vinyasa flow, whatever you feel like, I'll meet you there. Letting your head drop and letting blood flow to the brain. Take the left leg out towards the sky. And we're going to draw the left knee all the way in, stepping the left foot between the palms, rocking forward and back. Excellent. And then eventually we'll land our right knee onto the mat and lift the arms up. Good, and then flow with your breath, inhaling arms up. And then exhaling arms forward, sending them back, just lowering your heart. So when we were originally doing the first podcast I ever did, which I no longer do anymore, it was called Chaturangas. We had a question one day that was like, how do you go through your day with the yamas and the niyamas on your mind? And I loved this question. Let's take our arms all the way up, big breath in. And then reach your arms forward, right fingertips forward, send your left arm back. And then maybe you reverse your warrior, landing your left palm, opening your heart. And then come all the way forward, land the right palm. And then perhaps you kick the foot back, taking a little quad stretch. And I said to Yasmin, who I was hosting the podcast with, I was like, I don't really think I have an example for that. And then a second later, I realized, I actually did have an example from that exact day. So I had followed someone on Instagram. I think she followed me, I followed her back. And I loved this Elizabeth Gilbert quote that she wrote. It was Richard from Texas. And he said, if you sit down with pure intention to meditate, then why are you judging yourself through the whole experience, right? So if your intention is to meditate, let's release the foot if you have it, take your left palm forward and then walk the fingertips back. If you have an intention to meditate, but you just keep messing it up, why are you being so critical for yourself for struggling? Because you know what your intention is, which is to meditate. Is basically the purpose of this quote, and I love it. And I love Elizabeth Gilbert. And so I took this quote and I designed it into our own little Mindful Life practice background. And then I posted it on the Mindful Life practice Instagram. And this person messaged me saying, I stole her quote. And it was such an interesting thing where I had to pause and be like, okay, your immediate reaction can be to be annoyed or upset. But can you pause through this moment and look at it through every single lens of yoga? Let's walk our hands forward. And we're gonna spread through our fingertips, tuck our toes, and then step our left foot back, find our plank. So Asteya is non-stealing. And I paused and I was like, did I steal this quote from her? And then I decided, you know what, this was an Elizabeth Gilbert quote, and I credited Elizabeth Gilbert in my post. So I think I practiced Asteya. I think I practiced non-stealing. I gave credit to the rightful author. Let's move through a vinyasa. We're gonna lower down and lift our heart up, and then come all the way back to our down dog, step our feet in. The second yama that our class was themed on last week was Satya, which means truth. And so in practicing truth, I said to this person on Instagram, yeah, I read the quote on your Instagram, but I've also read Eat, Pray, Love thousands of times. And I knew that quote from that movie as well, but your post about it definitely reminded me and inspired me. So that's being truthful. Keep the left foot, let's reach the right leg all the way up. And then draw the right knee in and then step the right foot between our palms. Let's land onto the left heel and we're gonna lift all the way up into a warrior one, good. And then we're just gonna flow with our breath. We're gonna do one more standing flow. Okay, so inhaling with the arms up. And then just exhaling, lengthening the right leg, hinging over, good. And then bending the right knee and lifting up. Good, and hinging forward. And so this person ended up blocking me on Instagram, blocking the Mindful Life practice. And another piece of this is ahimsa, which is what our first class was themed on, which is nonviolence and compassion, right? And I could be frustrated, I could judge this person, or I could just look at her compassionately and think, you know, she's curating her Instagram account and this is how she's reacting, and neither of us is right or wrong. We just have a different perspective, but we're all just human beings at the end of the day who just want to be happy and healthy and free, right? And if we're able to look at people with that compassion, then it's much easier to see the lens of where they're coming from and practice forgiveness. Let's take one more breath and then lengthen over the right leg and hinge forward. Aparigraha, the fifth yama, is letting go. So after you've been through that reflection with all of those lenses, can you just let go of whatever it is? Knowing that everything passes, resentment, discomfort, even joy, every single thing that we experience in life is impermanent. So can you let that go? Take one more breath. Good, bend through the right knee, lift the arms up. Nice, let's take our palms into heart center, just shift weight onto the right foot, extend the left leg behind us for 3. Good, for 2. Nice, and then 1, step the left foot up to meet the right and just find ourselves in Tadasana, Samastitihi. So when does it become truly compelling? It's when it's no longer this 1 hour thing we're doing on this rectangle, but it's when we can pick up this experience and apply it to our lives as well. Let's take an inhale, lift the arms up, reach up. And then exhale, fold forward. Let's journey through that flow one more time. Take a breath in. Exhale, lower. If you want to move through a vinyasa, go ahead, or you might just come back to your down dog. And then we'll go the opposite way. Take the left leg up, and then pull the left knee in, step the left foot between the palms, land onto the right heel, lift up. And can you move like water and end like fire? Eventually you'll land, dangling your arms over the left leg. Find the silence at the heart of the pose. Bend through the left knee, lift up. Gather the palms at the heart center. Trust that the left foot will hold you. Extend and breathe. And then come up to stand. Anchor both feet on the mat. Lengthen through the heart. Settle the gaze. And then let's take an inhale, lift the arms up, gaze up. Take an exhale, forward fold. And we're gonna hang out here with our arms dangling. So the third yama is Asteya. And this is a wake-up call. This invites us to think of all the ways, big and small, that we steal. The borrowed books that are sitting on our shelves, the corners we cut on our taxes, the hours we spend at work not being productive. And as we consciously practice Asteya, we see where and how we need to change. And Asteya is our first encounter with the power of non-attachment. The Sutra of Asteya translates to when abstention from stealing is firmly established, precious jewels will come. In other words, the surest way to get what you want is to let go of wanting. Good, let's take a few more breaths in this fold. And then we're gonna widen our feet. Take our toes a little wide, take our knees a little bit wide, and sit our hips back and just come into a squat for a moment. Good. Just for a few breaths. And then from our squat, we're going to press our feet together, let our knees knock wide, take a breath in, and then come forward into our next pose, which is a forward fold. And you can prop yourself up on blocks or on a cushion. And so I have this favorite story from Rolf Gates' book, because Asteya was a sutra that I didn't really know much about and I didn't know how to teach. Oh, Amber said she's getting ready for a workshop. I wish I was less all over the place with setting up my tech this morning, or I probably could have heard more about the workshop. Anyway. And this kind of story stuck to me as one that really conveys the meaning of Asteya well. Rolf writes, I just returned from teaching at a week-long yoga retreat on a remote beach in Mexico. And it was the most powerful experience of the sort I have ever had. I was either practicing yoga, teaching yoga, meditating, chanting, or fasting for 7 straight days. The closing ceremony was deeply moving as the 65 participants shared their personal stories of healing and transformation. The next morning, I borrowed a pair of scissors from the hotel staff and began to remove the inspirational quotes we posted on the walls of the studio. And as I used the scissors, I realized that they would be helpful on the next retreat, which was only 3 weeks away at the same facility. So I wisely stored my scissors in the bag with the quotes. Let's take another breath. Nice, and then we're gonna lift up and then just extend through the right leg. And then keep the left foot on the inside of the right thigh. Lift the arms up and then come all the way forward. And as I went to check out, the manager of the hotel asked me about the scissors. We were in the jungle a few miles from town, and scissors apparently do not grow on trees down there. And so I had the good fortune of opening up my suitcase in front of this loving woman to retrieve her scissors. All of this in the midst of my writing on Asteya, be careful what you pray for. And my attempted theft of this woman's scissors gave me pause to think. It certainly brought home to me the difference between doing a lot of spiritual practice and truly standing in my spirituality. An Alcoholics Anonymous text says either God is or he is not. And each theft, each time we forget to return something we've borrowed, each moment we give into the impulse to covet or be jealous, we're saying, my God is not. And to practice Asteya, we must abandon ourselves to the care of the universe. We must be willing to give up all we have for the one true thing. We must say in each moment, with each thought, with each word, with each deed, my God is. Let's take another breath in. And then another breath out. And then we're gonna lengthen all the way up and then just switch our leg, extending our left leg, right foot on the inside of the left leg, lift our arms up and then hinge forward. And I realize I just said some religious words. This is reading from Rolf's book, and I think it's important to say that yoga can be applied to any religion, any spiritual practice. And that's the beauty of it, is that it's so non-denominational. And I try to avoid using religious words when I can, because I don't necessarily identify with them. But there is kind kind of an intention. That's one of the yamas of yoga called Ishvara Pranidhana. And this is about bringing a sense of spirituality into our practice. No matter what that spirituality is. What does it mean, the difference between doing spiritual practice and standing in your spirituality? What does that mean for you? Take another breath. And then we're gonna roll all the way up, and we're just gonna do a little bit of some neck stretching. So you're gonna come into a crisscross. Actually, I'm going to add in a little toe tuck if you would like, to stretch through the backs of my feet. And then drop my right earlobe down towards my right shoulder. Land the palm on the side of the skull. Good, take a few more breaths. And then lift up your head, and we'll go the opposite way. Good, take a few more breaths. And then we'll lift our head all the way up. And then just come to untuck your toes. You can slide to one side. Come all the way onto your back and open through your arms, and then just drop the knees over to the right. Breathe over the shoulder. And then open our arms, take the knees all the way through center, and then drop them the opposite way, gaze over the right shoulder. And then can you lift all the way up and draw the knees into the chest, give your body a nice little hug. And then extend your legs out, soles of feet can touch, or they might extend full out, arms can grip up overhead, taking some breaths in and out. Acknowledging that you have shown up for yourself, you've shown up here. Despite all of the chaos, all of the things happening in your life, and that showing up is all that really matters. And maybe as you rest in your Shavasana, you think about which of these yoga sutras, which of these intentions you want to integrate off your mat and in your life. And know that I'm going to bring you back in a moment or two when the time is up. Giving your fingers and your toes a little wake up a little. Running a nice long stretch from your fingers all the way through your toes. Good, curling your knees into your chest, giving your body a sweet little hug. And then just making your way up to seated shape. My teacher, Rolf, the author of my book, he also taught me that Asteya was finishing class on time, and that has led me to be obsessive about finishing on time. I never thought of it that way as a younger yoga teacher. I thought I was giving people extra value by keeping them in class longer. In reality, we're just taking more time than we've committed to being here. And that's one of my practical applications of the practice of Asteya in my life. And so we're going to close with our intention. It's an ancient intention, but it's the original intention. And it's passed from heart to heart through thousands of years. And it's that our practice remains steady and our efforts remain continuous. And our yoga, it serves and it benefits and it helps and it heals all beings everywhere. May all beings be safe. May they be happy. May they be healthy and free. And may the thoughts and actions of each of our lives contribute towards this. And so we're going to finish with an Om. We're going to inhale and exhale. Inhale to make an Om. So take a large breath in. And then a deep breath out. And then a big breath in. Thank you so much for joining me, for practicing patience and compassion while I try to sort out my inner thoughts and sharing the space in the practice and joining me on this journey. I truly appreciate the presence of each one of you. The light in me, it sees and it honors the light in you. Thank you for joining.